What is the goal of the film? What do we do here? What's the goal?
Well, the goal here is to do what I think a documentary can do best, which is to raise a big question about society, to frame it in the correct way, which is to say to frame it in a fair and urgent way, to allow people to see for themselves and experience an unfolding storyline or phenomenon that really gets them to look into themselves and talk to others and think about it and then ask what can be done about it. So the film creates the awareness without which people don't act. So, for example, a lot of people are going to say, you know, I'm not Donald Trump. I didn't go in the Capitol on January 6th. I didn't get into big fights with the cops. I pay my taxes. I'm a law-abiding guy. The FBI is not going to come to my door, Dinesh, and smash it in. Now, I think that guy could not be more wrong. And I even am approached by guys on the left, and they go, well, Dinesh, well, no one's banning me. You know, I'm not threatened by the DHS. And I go, yeah, but could that be because you're helping to build the police state? In other words, our police state it's not a full-fledged police state yet. In fact, if it was a full-fledged police state, I admit this film could not be made.
We wouldn't be doing this show.
Yeah, we couldn't be doing the show.
I'd be turning you in right now, getting an award.
Or vice versa.
Come on.
So anyway, but my point is that we are hurtling toward a police state, and so the line you quoted from me, being an animal giving a warning. Too many Americans are like the antelope or the wildebeest that basically goes, oh yeah, I saw that too, but it's just the wind, Dinesh. It's not a predator in the trees. Or maybe it is a predator, but guess what? I'm going to hope it's not going to land on my back. Maybe somebody else's back.
Yeah. So you want to raise the awareness, not just of the Republicans, and we talked about this beforehand too, because I think the audience, like our audience, certainly this should not be a surprise to them, right? It'd be a very informative movie, but I see like a lot of head bobbing in the theater if a lot of our audience is there, because they'll be like, this just connects, this lines up exactly with what we've been talking about. I get it. I understand it. Are you trying to reach that broader audience? Because I think we believe that you have to have a broader audience. This can't be us just singing preaching to the choir the whole time. And I know the adage is that's how you get them to sing, and that's fine. You want to mobilize people, but at the same time, you have to let other people in this process know what's going on. How do you do that effectively and really get across the whole political boundaries?
Well, sometimes it is harder to do than at other times. So with my last film, 2,000 Mules, because the topic was election fraud, the movie came out at a time, this was a year after the 2020 election, when people were already dug in. And so a lot of people were like, I knew it. I'm going to see this movie and it's going to validate what I think. And then there were other people who were like, I'm not going to see this movie. And in fact, there were so-called fact checks on the film, bogus fact checks. But nevertheless, they were like, we've seen this film, so you don't have to, you know. And I'm sure a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that film because I already know that this was the safest and securest election in history. So it was tough with 2,000 Mules. And the police state, on the other hand, I think can reach a much wider audience because almost everyone has a factual awareness that the things I'm describing. I mean, let's look at what we're talking about. We're talking about censorship. I mean, let's look at the characteristics of any police state. Yeah. Let's North Korea, Iran, China, the old Soviet Union. What do those regimes have in common? Well, mass surveillance of citizens.
Check.
Systematic censorship. Check.
Check.
Indoctrination in the schools and universities and the media. Check. Propaganda. Check. The police states tend to be one-party states. Not that they don't have elections. China has elections. Iran has elections. But they don't allow effective opposition. Right? They criminalize. They try to lock up effective leaders of the opposition party. Check. Criminalization of dissent. Political prisoners. So just go down the list and you realize, whoa, not just most, all of the things I just mentioned are now here in the United States. Now,
some further along than others,
some
right?
further along than others.
Much more obvious.
And the weird thing about this debate is also that you will find people on the left and you say, do you think America's becoming a police state? And their answer is, Dinesh, 100%. But the perpetrator of the police state is Trump. or the
Right,
Republicans are the ones who are trying to take away our liberties. So the way I frame up this film is a little original. It's not just, are we becoming a police state, but who's right? If we are moving toward a police state, is the threat coming from the left or from the right? And I set up the film by saying, all right, we can answer that question if we know what is a police state, how it got started, how it's organized, how it works, and who's behind it and who is in charge. And once we know the answer to those questions, you'll know where the threat is coming from.